where are you originally from, or your mother or parents?
England. And my
England,
grandpa
okay.
from Denmark, and
Oh, there you go.
he's Dane, full Dane.
Well, you have some relations from Denmark, Lori?
My grandfather was full Dane, my grandmother was full Norwegian, and then I have a grandmother that is full British and a grandfather that was Irish.
Oh, very good. I also had a grandfather from Denmark. And we have Mikael here, Mikael Krag. Mikael Krag is also from Denmark. So we're so anyway, it's Danish Day. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about Denmark. Talk about the tribe of Dan.
Can I ask you a question, Yair?
Yeah. Yes.
So in Samaria,
Yeah, Samaria, yeah.
what present day, what is their like religion? What is
The Jews, you mean the Jews in Samaria?
and are there any Israelites there, or you know what I mean?
No, I do not know. The people, the majority of the people in Judah, Samaria. How you going, Joseph? Joseph Wood, how are you?
Hi, Joseph.
Thank you.
Can't see you, Joseph. Anyway.
You can hear me?
Yeah, here you will.
Okay.
Anyway, the people in Samaria, are most of the locals are Arabs, Muslim Arabs. Many Sunni Arabs, not that many Christians in the past. There were some Christian Arabs, but now they are not. Most of them have been driven out by the local Arab Muslims. Around Bethlehem, you have a few Christians. Apart from that, the Christians there are also Arabs. Francois, Yaakov, how are you?
Hello, Yaakov. Francois.
Just a second. We'll
Hey, Joseph, it's nice seeing you and your beautiful background.
Joseph, where do you live, Joseph? You also live in Judah and Samaria, don't you? Where do you live?
Yes, and in Judean desert,
Okay.
20 minutes from Jerusalem.
Okay, so this is Joseph Werner. He's been a follower of ours for some time, and he lives in Judah and Samaria. I just had a question, Laurie just asked a question about who lives there. So I was saying you have the majority of the population are Sunni Muslims. There's some Arab Christians there, but many of them have been driven out by their Muslim neighbours. And you also have Jews. You have a lot of Jews in Judah and Samaria in different settlements scattered throughout there. And most of the Jews in those settlements are national religious. That is, they're Orthodox Jews. But they're not Orthodox Jews. That is, they keep the commandments, but they're modern. They're like modern Jews, modern Orthodox Jews, and they're the majority of them are national religious. That is, they're modern Orthodox. They serve in the army, they work, and they're more practical in their approach to Judaism, and less stringent in some ways. I also have some ultra-Orthodox Haredim Jews there. The city where I live in, Brit-Am, it has 70,000 people, and they're all ultra-Orthodox. It is very strict. I'm one of the moderate ones. The less stringent amongst them, but I also go along. Also believe like they do, and identify with them, and I am part of them. So that is Beit-Am Court. It's a very nice place, a very nice city. It's large, 80,000 people now. It's quite big, and it's very convenient. So that's in a nutshell. That's the inhabitants. I don't know what proportion of the total population here are Jewish and which are not. I would say 10 to 15% of the population. Judah and Samaria is Jewish. That's about right, Joseph? Approximately something like that. But the Jews occupy strategic areas, strategic places, because also from an ecological point of view, this whole area has to be ruled over by Jews. because of the underground aquifers, water supplies and so on are in this area, but they supply the whole of the country. And so one authority centered in Israel has to rule over them, Jews have to rule over them because they are more ecologically conscious. And not only that, in order to protect the country from invaders from Syria, from Lebanon, from Jordan, from Egypt, from wherever they come from, the Muslims all around, they need the milhaf, they need a minimum depth to maneuver their forces in, otherwise they can be taken over overnight. So in effect, this whole area has to be controlled by Israelite forces, whether they believe in peace or not. The Jews will always have to have control of it. In order to control it, in effect, they need settlements to control the area, settlements that enable a more humanized, more civilized control of the region. Wherever they have Jewish settlements, you have less terror, less problems. When the Arabs settle down, are more relaxed, one could say, when they have Jewish settlements in the vicinity. When they're not, they're taken over by terrorist elements, by agitators, also by agitators from Europe, all kinds of do-gooders from France, from Germany, from all over. They come here, also from America, and they come here and they spend money and they stir up the Arabs. The Arabs don't need much stirring up, but they add to the fire, one can say. They pour oil on the flame. So that's about it. Is that right, more or less, Joseph? Approximately what I said? Joseph, you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's okay. We have it's correct what you are saying, and we have 600,000 settlers in this area.
There's 600,000 other people.
Yeah, and they are living as Jews, like Israelis. It's no difference. You work together with them, and it's everything is Jewish, and you have areas we are not entering, and so the other areas are close to Jewish settlements, and we're using the same streets, and Arabs are also buying from Jews, and so it's in one view is very not problematic, and it's a normal life, and on the other side you have to think every minute that the situation can change, and this is it's a normal feeling to live. You have this feeling also in Jerusalem or other Israeli area, that can happen something, but this is normal Jewish life here in Israel.
Nice.
Okay. Francois, how are you? It's Francois
Yes,
Jacob Habenga from
yeah.
South Africa. He's a veteran follower.
Shalom, shalom. I was sorry, I was muted, and I'm speaking while you're speaking, not good. But in any case, I was muted, and shalom to everyone. But here in South Africa, it's load shedding again. So the electricity is out until 12 o'clock here in South Africa. So sorry for the not seeing my face so clearly, but I'm using the light that I have. So yeah, but it's good to see you all.
Okay. Here we have Yohanan from Brazil. How are you, Yohanan?
Oh, I'm very good, Yair. I've been
Okay.
really under a lot of craziness going on here. I'm now camped in the back of somebody's house.
Okay, okay. Laurie, where are you?
I'm here.
Where do you live, Laurie?
I'm in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Sorry,
Where do you live, Sylvia?
in Michigan, north of Detroit.
Okay.
I'm Canadian. Well, I'm American too, but I am from Canada. But I've lived in the US for quite a few years now
Okay.
in Michigan.
And so we have Mikael. Mikael lives near Copenhagen. John lives in Brazil. Whereabouts in Brazil, John? Johanan, whereabouts in Brazil?
Santa Victoria de Palmar. It's in the south, close to the border with Uruguay.
Okay.
And boy, oh boy, this country is in trouble. Prices
Yes, it is.
are doubling in 1 month, and there's a real sense of uneasiness, you know? And I'm like on a cross. Like I try to do anything, and it's just like block, 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 you know? And it's very expensive now in Jerusalem. I'm looking up at, you know, hostels and all that. And even if you stay in a hostel, I mean, the people are vaccinated and they're going to be shedding. So you pretty well have to get your private accommodation. It's not like before, you know.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. Okay. Okay. So wait a minute. Has anyone got any questions before I start to talk? Anyone does something, Johanan?
Yes, I do. Messiah ben Joseph and Messiah ben David, do they have to be absolutely righteous?
Who? Messiah?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's on the whole, in principle, they say a prophet. There's laws about this, principles about this. Maimonides discusses it. In principle, a prophet was also the Talmud mentions it. The prophet was someone was a kind of Superman. In other words, in the beginning, a prophet had to be had to be healthy, wealthy. Why wealthy? Because he had to have a certain independence, not to be subjected to all kinds of needs, not afraid of people, not have overseers over him and so on. He also had to be a warrior. He also had to be very learned, and you had to have certain faculties, and in addition, but that was at the beginning. It happens at the beginning he had to reach a high level. In order to reach a high level, he had to have everything in order. After he began to receive prophecy, so that happened that he became sick, he became old, and so on. But for getting to the first stage, he usually accepted that he had to be an exceptional human being, but there were exceptions. Always exceptions, and the gift of prophecy was also disappeared. The gift of prophecy disappeared after the return from Babylon. The Jews were taken into exile after the 10 tribes were taken away into exile by the Assyrians. About 100 years, almost 200 years later, the Jews were the 10 tribes taken into exile. Almost 200 years later, the Jews were taken into exile to Babylon, taken into exile for 70 years, and then they came back. As I mentioned before, and they came back to settle in the land of Judea. And at the beginning, they had a council, an assembly of 120 members. In this assembly were prophets Malachi and others were present. There were prophets present. Also, there were sages. There was an overlap between the period of the sages and the prophets. As the members of the assembly, 120 members died out or retired. They weren't replaced until the number went down to 70, and that became the Sanhedrin. From the Sanhedrin became the ruling body of the Jewish people, and as members of that, from henceforth, it was taken over by sages. And because it was sages, the prophecy of the gift of the ability to prophesy diminished, but to discern what God wanted and to be attuned with the Almighty, it could still be achieved through intellectual measures, learning the Talmud, learning the laws and keeping them, and they're always holy people. And when they say that possibly in our times, towards the end of the times, towards the return of Israel to their land, or in this end time era, according to tradition, the gift of prophecy will return. So the gift of prophecy could return, and may have already returned. What it means to return, how we will know, that's another something separate. So, but theoretically, it would still be possible in our time to find prophets.
So
There are different ways to find someone, to discern if someone is a prophet. First of all, Maimonides lists them, discusses them just based on the Bible. A prophet has to be someone who is known to his fellows, who keeps the law, knows the law. He knows things. He knows what the law is, what the law requires. And he is known to be a religious person, a God-fearing person. And then he begins to say things, and if he predicts things that will happen in the future, and they come to pass, we can assume he's a prophet. But if he says things will come to pass and they don't come to pass, then he is a false prophet. Unless no, there's an exception. If he says some type of disaster will happen, and it doesn't happen, so in some cases, and maybe that the situation has changed, the people have repented, like the story of Jonah. Jonah predicted that the city of Nineveh would be destroyed. The people of Nineveh repented. And so then Jonah was in danger. Jonah was angry. He was being represented as a false prophet because he said it would be destroyed, and it wasn't destroyed. So if a prophet makes a dire prediction and says something will happen that is bad, doesn't happen, doesn't mean that he's a false prophet. But if he says something good will happen, does not come to pass, with exceptions, then he's considered a false prophet. So that's about it.
I noticed that you are making available the PDFs for some of your books. Which one of your books would you recommend for a rabbi?
Ancestry has a lot of rabbinical sources in it.
Ooh, okay.
So if you want to give something to a rabbi, that might be more suitable because they would be able to relate to it and check out the sources.
Yeah.
And I've had people have been convinced through that.
Steve, do it.
You have a Hebrew version. You see, you remember?
Yeah.
It's very good to read for Roberts.
That's Origin. Origin is he also just said other book. Origin is also very good to read. Also for rabbis according to Joseph.
I spoke on different places with different people from Roman Gypsy, and they told me that they are also Israelites from the tribe of Dan, and he gave me a different special laws of impurity or purity that they have to follow, and they also told that they are called judges, and because of this they were despised by their brothers and left alone. And very later I spoke with another from Roman Gypsy. She is in Finland, also Scandinavia, and she told the same story with the same thing. Is there something you have found in your research?
Yes, I think we have an article about that on our website. We always look it up. We always get answers about, because we're involved with those tribes. We always get asked why these people why do we consider certain people to be friends with those tribes and why not? We have criteria, and we apply the criteria and see how they work out and how they don't. And so we don't, apart from the peoples we mentioned, we don't consider other peoples to be descended from lost 10 tribes of Israel, even though those 10 tribes of Israel can be all over the place. They were concentrated in certain areas, destined to give expression to who they were, according to the Bible, and they did so. And also we have a principle in Ezekiel 48 says, in the end times when the Almighty divides the land of Israel amongst the tribes, he says to the stranger who is not of the tribe of Israel, But he lives amongst the tribe of Israel, and he identifies with them. He too will receive a portion amongst the tribes he dwells in. So even if someone is not, who knows who we are? We all more or less know who our forefathers were, but who were? Maybe what back then we may not, be descended from interlopers, but we belong to those 10 tribes. We identify with people who belong to those tribes. So we live amongst them. We are part of them, and according to the Bible, all those who identify with a tribe that live amongst will receive a portion of the land together with that tribe. So that is an important principle that we have to take into cognizance. Also, that we have, we may not, also concerning Judah. Judah brought in into the Jewish people converts throughout the ages, but they are Jews. The Almighty says when he is given the Torah on Mount Sinai, I'm making this covenant with you and your children, and the one who is not here, the stranger is not here also. And according to the tradition, the souls of those who were destined to become part of the covenant were present. So that someone who converts to Judaism, he is not a newcomer coming in. He is coming back to where he should have been at the very beginning. And he can't get out of it either. Someone who converts to Judaism, it gets difficult. Sometimes things in Israel everywhere. Life can be difficult. He wants to back out. For all kinds of reasons, he can't do so. That's why they make one of the reasons why they make conversion difficult, so that people who regret it, people won't do something they will regret later. So this is a biblical principle.
Yeah,
We'll do what we can.
I would love to see you all in Jerusalem for Sukkot.
Okay.
Seeing that the war is coming.
You're right. You're right. It's a good point. We don't know what's going to happen. And Israel's being threatened now with Iran. It's supposed to within 5 minutes Iran could have an atom bomb. God forbid.
Yeah.
Anything could happen.
Amen.
You don't know how much time we have. And thank God at the moment the Almighty is helping us put this message out. We're reading some people, the message is getting out there, and we hope this will continue. Who knows? We have to do what we can while we can.
Yes.
And may we all be guided. May the Almighty guide all of us. Thank you very much. I'll see you all later. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shalom, shalom.
Bye-bye. Shalom.
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 Shalom. Shalom.